Welcome to Materials and Methods Matter. In this episode, I will demonstrate the use of Koh-I-Noor Tri-Tone multicolored pencils in an illustration. For this illustration, I'll be using the following Tri-Tone colors: earth tones, tiger, Spanish nights, marigold, and violets. Let's begin our pencil drawing using the earth tone pencil. We're going to use the earth tone here on the bottom of our earthenware jar, and we are going to follow the contour, which means if this is our center, when we're going on the edges, we're going to follow the contour and work with our lines. So the best thing to do is put in some guidelines, as I call them. These will be the directions of our stroke. It's more important on the edges to do this. And what we're going to do is use the point of the pencil and just continue adding. Once we get our direction in here, we'll just continue on and start to add in, and not pressing very hard. These are earth colors, basically a yellow ochre, looks like a burnt sienna, and a brown. So we don't need to press hard just to get our texture. When we're on the bottom, we want to pull the line from the bottom and then up, because since we have a variation, we're using pretty much 3 colors all in one pencil, and so the colors are going to vary as we draw. So let's get this filled in, and then we'll move on to our next step. Next, I'm going to use Spanish Night. Before we go too far, I'm going to go ahead and add in my decorative pieces, for instance this wavy line. And Spanish Night is a darker color. It has a red, a violet, and a black. So this will divide our areas and also give us our decorations, our accents here. So I'm going to just continue to put in my rings here. These are decorative. We want these lines evenly spaced. And you'll notice that as the line is going to vary, so you might want to twist your pencil as you're drawing just to get some variations in color there. We're also going to use this Spanish Night for our shadows too, so and we'll get to that in a little bit. But we have our decoration in down here at the bottom. I'm also going to use these for these round bead shapes at the top. And what happens here is if we want, the lighter color, which is kind of the red, and if you start out and it's dark on this side, great. If it starts to get too light, then just rotate the pencil, until you get kind of the color you want. But these are decorative, so they can vary in our color. And when we put this next color down here, this will actually enhance these, so we'll put these round shapes in. Okay, next I'm going to take tiger, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to follow the contour, and so I'm going to start at the top so we can just show, okay, this is the center of our vase, or it's earthenware jar, I should say. And then because this goes on an angle, these will start to come in sharply on this side. Okay, same on the rim. So I'm just going to put some guidelines in, just so we have something to follow, which makes it easy. That way you don't get off. When we do the handle, we're going to follow the contour of the handle, and don't worry about this being too light, because we can come in and add, like I say, we're going to add a shadow color here. So we want to follow the handle around on both sides, and then it turns down to meet the bottom section. Here we're gonna, the earthen jar actually comes around this way, and here they meet together. So you can see I'm going to put in these guidelines here. And then our shadow will follow this same thing when we get to that part. But so let's put this in first. Let's create all our lines. We're going to have lots of shadow to add in under here. And in fact, you could take your Spanish night and just bring this around a little bit darker so we can see where that end of that is going to be. And let's start filling in our color. Next, with Spanish Night again, we're going to fill in our shadow areas and the inside of this, the inside neck here of the vase. Or our jar. I'm not sure what we want to call it yet. But anyway, it's our vessel. And then here we're going to have our shadow area, which pretty much comes here. So we're going to just go over, following the lines that we already have there. We're going to create our shadow, since this is a darker pencil, like so. We also have a shadow underneath this part. We also have the shadow on the back side of our handle. In fact, this is all pretty much in shadow down through here, except for the inside of this handle. Light's coming this direction, so it's going to hit it. Our shadow for the top is going to start about in the middle, but I'm very gonna put very light marks there, and then make them heavier, darker as I come to the back of this rim, because this is definitely in shadow here. Our shadow continues down, and I'm just going to draw this in here. It's actually going to come down to meet where the base shadow is here. So this is pretty much in shadow, and so what we're going to do is we're just going to make it a little darker using the Spanish Nights. So you can see the difference in value here, even though we can still see a lot of the color. Again, following our contour lines, which we already have in there. Spanish Night is primarily darker colors, so it really works well with the earth tones and the tiger. They really do complement it. So you can see here we're going to, don't forget our shadow is going to come in this area here. So when we make our marks, we want to stop at that point. We can make adjustments here just to make it the shadow more realistic. Again, here on the bottom, I want to pull up. We can come along here and actually put in, because actually all the way on the bottom is a shadow. So we can darken that, just ground it, as we say, ground it to the surface. Okay, now that we put in the shadow colors, let's add some highlights, and we're going to use Marigold, which is primarily 3 yellows, and we're going to use that to brighten up as a highlight color, especially in this area. We're going to use it in this side of the handle. Oops, I forgot a shadow here. I'm gonna bring it in, and here I'm just pretty much coloring in because I'm burnishing just to get that brightness in here. We're gonna also put some in here down at the bottom. And then here I'm just going to put some little brighter streaks of yellow into the top, but not filling in the whole area, just to give us, warm it up a little more. And okay, I forgot my shadow on the inside of this handle. So we're just going to just outline like so. Okay, now we want to put in our cast shadow. In this case, I'm using the TriTone Violets, which is actually a kind of a pink, a purple, and a blue. So it's all going to mix together and give us a nice violet color. I marked in my shadow here, and if those lines are a little too dark, you could take your MOO Eraser and just run that along your marks here so that you get a nice smoother shadow. And then what I'm going to do is use the side of the pencil and just pull our color out, because a cast shadow is usually darker when it's up against your, in this case, our vessel, our vase, or earthen jar, whatever you want to call it. But we basically will start light, and then here, as we go away from it, it's going to dissipate. So we're going to keep that light. And again, I'm using the side of the pencil. because your shadow dissipates, it kind of disappears. But as we go closer, okay, now that I have it in there, I'm going to, and don't worry about going over your color here, because we're going very lightly, so it's not going to even show up. We already have quite a bit of pencil down there, so it kind of acts like a barrier. It'll actually pick up some of this color and make this area closer to our vessel here darker, which is a good thing. So we're going to keep working this and model it. Shadows are generally cool. But generally, shadows are always cool. So that's why we want to use this violets. Violet makes a great color. Black on its own would be boring. And since we are using violets, the violet is the complementary color of our colors that we have in here. In fact, we can even add, I see this red in here was pretty bright, so what I'm going to do is just go over with the violets, and that kind of tamed it down. Same under here, and just add a little bit more just to enhance that. And then back to our base. You can see as I work, I look and I see things, and it's like, okay, let's make a little change while I'm thinking about it rather than forgetting it. And then later on you see the work and you go like, oh, I need to change that or add that. But each time we do a piece of artwork, it's an experience. It's a learning process. That's what the creative process is all about. So we learn as we go. And sometimes we'll discover things and we'll say, if I do this over, and I ask myself that if I was going to do this again, what would I change? What colors would I change? Would I change anything? But and that's how we learn as we go on. This might be perfect drawing as it is, but the next one, we always want it to be a little bit better, or take something we've learned from this process and carry it forward. So anyway, there we have it. We have our rendering done with the TriTone multicolored pencils. If you're interested in this illustration, it's available as a lesson plan on Thalo.com under Resources and Lesson Plans. Stay tuned for more episodes of Materials and Methods Matter. Materials and Methods Matter was inspired by my book, Making Art, Materials and Techniques for Today's Artist. For more videos on Materials and Methods Matter, as well as lesson plans and other instructional videos, visit Thalo.com.